All right, YouTube fam, welcome back to DLS Wave. As usual, this is where we talk about our dislike, our distaste for things our governments do on the African continent.
And
but today,
praise too.
Today's not going to be about that. It's going to be about something super awesome, okay? So we're going to talk about our neighbors, Nigeria, right? Our sibling, Nigeria. So there's been news floating around the government, not necessarily the government, the president, Bola Tinubu. He wants to change the Nigerian national anthem.
It has been changed already.
Yeah, he wants to change. He wanted to change. It's been changed. I don't even know if it's officially. It's officially been changed.
He assent to him. He's assented to the. It's not a law.
Cool.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, a little bit of a background history on the national anthem.
Can you sing?
No, I have to. I have to.
I know your grandma.
I bet you even Tinubu himself can sing.
Yeah, let's rock and roll. So Tinubu has been in office for 1 year, right? Yeah. So I think he was trying to commemorate his 1 year anniversary of his presidency.
Yeah.
So I think, as we say, the cherry on top, to put the cherry on top of the cake or ice cream, he opted to go for changing the national anthem for whatever reason. Only he and his compatriots know. So the first Nigerian anthem was pretty much put together in
1957.
1960. That was the year Nigeria had its independence, right? I think Ghana had it before Nigeria. Ghana had it in 1957.
Yeah. And then
Nigeria 1960. All right. Does anybody know the name of the national anthem? The first one. Pop quiz.
Not really.
Something. Hail the Falcons.
Oh, hail thee, right?
Okay.
All right, so that's, Nigeria, we hail thee, or we hail thee, something like that. We hail thee. We hail thee, which is it sounds pretty good. That was the original. But there was a lot of, controversy around that. Why? Because that actual anthem was written by an expat, right? It being like a British person living in Nigeria that wrote that for them, so you can understand why it was controversial. It was supposed to be an anthem for going independent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it was kind of ironic that an expat, pretty much your colonizer is writing like your national anthem. So they used that until 1978, and then they rewrote it by a native person of Nigeria, and that was Arise, O Compatriots. All right, so they've been using that up until now, 2024, but then suddenly, boom, Bola Tinubu decided we need to go back to what the expat or colonizer wrote for us, and this has become like a heated debate out there in Nigeria. But let's not forget, Nigeria is one of the biggest economies in Africa, right? And it's also riddled with a lot of problems. I've heard about illegal lithium mining. Inflation is through the roof. People cannot afford gas. There's a lot of stuff going on. Security issues.
Kidnappings.
Yeah, kidnappings. Boko
Inflation,
Haram.
debts, insecurity.
All right, thank you very much. Can you shut up so I can do my job? All right, so let's go. So everything is going up, but again, we always talk about this on this show. Misplaced what?
Priorities.
Thank you for your help and honest rejoinder. All right, so this is what we're going to discuss today on DLS. Stay tuned, and as usual, subscribe to the channel. All right, so first things first, we all know what's going on, but the crazy thing is, why so sudden, right? Because it looks like it did not go to Parliament for discussion or debate or anything.
They did They actually passed it in Parliament.
They passed?
Yeah.
So why is this a surprise to a lot of people?
They said it was a very swift sort of bill.
So pretty much the masses were kind of blinded to it.
Maybe people knew, but it didn't have the same drag as other issues have. They said, according to sources, it went through Parliament very quickly. And once it was passed by Parliament, the president assented to it. So
okay, I didn't even know it went to Parliament. It was so, like I said, it was so swift. Now the question though is why? Why the need to change it? Why the need to go back to the old one?
Well, if you listen to the reason the president gave, the reason was that old anthem will show more patriotism. That was his main motive for wanting to go back to the old anthem.
If you want people to show patriotism, then you have to do something about the high rate of unemployment. For me, that is the only way. I don't understand why this should be a thing, and I don't understand. For me, the truth is, I'm a Ghanaian, and the Ghanaian national anthem doesn't fill me with, how should I say it? I'm patriotic already because I'm Ghanaian. It is not the national anthem. I know sometimes the words in the national anthem fills you with a sort of pride, but you look back and you look at your country and the pride is not there. The pride is hiding somewhere. And that is what they need to go and look for and bring it in reality by making sure people get good jobs and then stop the generator importing and then do something about the electricity issues. Those are the problems.
Generator
there.
Republic.
Yeah.
Ghana recently almost joined that republic.
We are, Ghana
We're
always flirts
on
with
the fringes.
Yeah, we flirt with
almost there.
But the truth is there's unemployment. People don't worry about national anthem. You understand?
Yeah.
People do even sing their national anthem, but they sing it because they sing it. It has nothing to do with what they do the next day or the next minute. You understand? So I don't know.
I think, like you said, if you create a safe environment, if people have access to healthcare, education, stuff I think naturally people become patriotic.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a matter of just singing of course, I mean, it kind of balances it out, right? When you sing your national, you have some sort of pride. You know what I'm saying? It's a source of pride for the citizens, but you cannot just base your president's, your annual celebration or whatnot, and because it's a big deal.
Yeah.
It is a big deal. You know what I'm saying? And also because the controversy behind it, like you say, was written by a colonizer. So I don't really understand what he's trying to say, but it is what it is. But let's go back to something that happened recently, which is pretty interesting. Now, they said gunmen made tea as they kidnapped at least 160 people in a deadly Nigerian raid by CNN 3:56 p.m. on May 28, 2024. 10 people were killed and 160 others, including children, were abducted during a raid by suspected Boko Haram militants. So this is one of the problems that we feel like the government should be addressing.
Insecurity.
So this is why the controversy stems from the fact that people are just trying to say, is this
more important?
No. Is it a distraction?
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? Is it more of a distraction to keep people focused on this anthem, changed rather than talk about
the
kidnapping for ransom?
Yeah.
It's become a thing.
I won't be surprised if is what people are saying is true, because that's what we've known politicians to do. They always come up with something sneaky to distract people from the real issues that are happening on the ground. But it might be true because people are. It's being said that the swiftness with which the Parliament passed that bill and the swiftness with
it's unprecedented. Right?
Exactly, the President assented to it, whereas there are other bills in the Parliament that have been lingering for years.
Yeah.
That's what actually surprises people. So if that was done quickly, anybody might be right to think that it's just to distract people's attention from real issues.
Because I mean, it's
misplaced priorities. That's it.
This is the news going on. Nearly 1,000 people have been kidnapped in the first 3 months of 2024
in Nigeria.
Yeah.
For me, it's okay. They can do something about it. They should be doing something about it. I don't understand where this national anthem thing came from.
No, but if you want people to be patriotic, how do you expect somebody whose kid, whose daughter, whose son has been kidnapped to be patriotic by just singing the national anthem?
You don't need to come from that family. You don't need to come from that family because you don't know whether it's your door nest. You understand?
Your next door neighbor or a
exactly,
family member, classmate.
It could be anyone as long as you come from that country. So I'm not even from Nigeria, but I have friends who go to Nigeria, do business in Nigeria. So I'll be worried. You understand? So if you want to generate that kind of love for country, then you people in positions, politicians, and it's all across Africa, we have so many misplaced priorities all over the place. And it's sudden. And the next minute they will come out and say, oh, you people don't love your country. You are running away from your country. But we can see, laymen, we've not been to school. We don't have the certificate, but we can see this and this and this can be done. And you guys are still not doing it. And you come up and then you come up with national anthem. What would that is it going to put money in my pocket? No, it wouldn't. Do the right thing. My roads are not being fixed. Our infrastructure is in tatters. Human beings should not be living that way. But still, we have resources. You guys, corruption all over the place. There's so many. The list is many.
It's endless.
To come and tell me I should change my national anthem. What would that do to me?
It's not but I know what you mean.
No, I even
Leave me alone.
if I even come to Ghana, right? You look at this national cathedral that our current president wanted to build. In the beginning, I thought there was nothing wrong with it because I thought because of the way he campaigned and how he promised he was going to change Ghana, it would have been an addition to the things that he was going to do. But as time went along, I saw how we were retrogressing. It became apparent that it was no more a feasible dream to fulfill. But they have started it, and now it's what? It's a manhole. It's just lying there. And prior to that, judges had their bungalows on that same location. Now they've all been relocated, spent money to build new houses and whatnot to accommodate them. But the main project wasn't done. Even that, besides that, you look at a country like Ghana, there are some places that still don't have pipe-borne water. And what we are thinking of doing is to spend money to build. If you're providing all those things alongside the National Cathedral, I have no problem. But where you know that there are basic needs, human needs, basic things like water running to people's homes, has not been provided, and we are thinking about building a cathedral, that is where I have a problem.
There's another one. There's an hospital that is serving a community. Not a community, like a whole town. 2 towns, 3 towns.
Is it the La one?
The La hospital.
Yeah.
A whole hospital. Yes, maybe the infrastructure is a bit weak, but they decided to break everything down. I mean, everything to the core. Till date, they've not fixed it.
Got it. So moving on. Listen, let's go back to Nigeria, because at the end of the day, we're talking about bandits and militants doing all these kidnapping for ransom thing. We'll go back to the unemployment thing you spoke about. Isn't it easier for people, even for the youth, to join such, gangs or militants or whatever word you want to use for them, rather than be patriotic because you're changing the national anthem? They're supposed to be suddenly love their country, like he said. Remember he made that speech one time, stop criticizing your country, love your country. Nigeria is a beautiful place. Nobody's denying that, but you have to put certain measures in place for that to transpire, right?
Right.
So if you say you change the national anthem, now people are kidnapping other people for ransom. Why are they doing that?
Lack of jobs.
Yeah, go to the Netherlands and try to recruit bandits. Go to the UK and try to recruit mercenaries. These are places where if I don't have a phone, I can walk into AT&T, whatever, pay £20 and they give me a phone and I pay for it over 3-4 years. Even if I'm cleaning the streets, I can pay back in 3-4 years. These are places where people don't struggle too much. They might not be rich, but the basic needs are satisfied. There are systems in place for them. So if you go and tell the guy, risk your life to do this, he won't do it. But if you don't put those systems in place in your own country, anyone comes with $1,000, he'll buy the person's soul.
Desperation, right? Desperation.
Give him a gun or whatever and say, okay, do what I say. That is what is happening. So if you want to stop those things, it's not about increasing your military power or whatever. You can't stop these things by arming your military or whatever. You can only stop it by creating systems that give people something to do for income. If I have income from as a factory worker and I have a family, you think I'll leave that and go and risk my life for what reason? So you hit the nail right on the head.
Yeah, because I remember I saw I think he was a Nigerian. He came to Guangzhou, right, one of the biggest cities in China. And he was being interviewed by these, I think it was for YouTube or something like that, TikTok. And he said the same thing. Like when he came over, it's like he's heard people talk a lot about, his fellow Nigerians doing drugs on the street and in the nightclubs and all. And it's like, it becomes, a stereotype because it's like he has 17 employees back in Nigeria. He has no reason to come into contact with drugs.
Exactly.
So once you got something doing, like you're saying, you got a skill set, you're learning something, like you're occupied. There is no reason to kind of get enticed or you're drawn into these kind of gangs. And military goods. But then again, like we said, what's the alternative, right? If nothing is going well, right? People get enticed to go into these directions because they need what?
Look, let me just come in real quick.
Yeah.
If you want to see how easy it is to recruit people into some of these groups, just think back to a time when you were very hungry and there was no option. Every human being has gone through. You had money, maybe you had money, but where you were, there was no food around, there was nothing, and you were really hungry or thirsty. At that point, if you're thirsty, even if you see a dirty river, you're going to drink it.
Yeah.
That's how frustrated people are. So you take anything that comes to you.
Yeah,
So we all do agree.
I do agree. I do
same,
agree. I wanted to say that, you see, when it comes to crime in general, definitely in every society there will be people because of greed, right? Enviness and stuff. They would toe that kind of line.
Yeah.
But when there are policies like employment, proper employment, as things are working properly, the number reduces.
No, yeah.
And it makes the work for your forces or your police force or whoever guides the country, it makes their work easier because the number of crime decreases.
Yeah.
So employment is what we need. I think they need, not national anthem.
My biggest question before we sign off.
Yeah.
Why does it seem? I don't really know if I think it gets done in a lot of countries. I'm not gonna say just Africa, but I feel like it's mostly practiced in Africa. Why do our leaders always have this misplaced priorities? Why is that? Is that there are like pressing issues to address, but they always find a way to kind of negate that or ignore that and attend to very simplistic, ridiculous, mediocre stuff. It's like, why?
It is power where they feel they don't need to answer to us. They do whatever they want. When my time is out, I get out. That is one. Two, I don't know what they feed us, but it seems like we've all given up.
We've been zombified.
Yes, we've been zombified. Something in our food or whatever. It's like now we are tired. Yeah, we can do your politics, we vote for you, but whatever you do in office, we know you're going to do this and that, as in corruption in the highest degree. Okay, you do. When another 4 years come, we vote you out. So I think we've also, in some way, we've played a part for not demanding enough. That is what I think, to some extent, because we forget that we gave them the power. You understand?
Do we forget, or there's nothing we can do?
That's why I said maybe there's something in our food. I don't know how to say, but I feel like you talk to these people. The first thing you talk and you want to talk about politics to someone, so these people, leave them alone. That is how they are. When they get into power, that is what they do. People are kind of tired.
People are becoming different, right?
Yeah.
What is your take? Why the misplaced priorities almost every single time?
I think you have a point, and also another point is because of our continued dependence on foreign financial institutions.
Yeah.
Sometimes some of the conditions are hidden, sometimes it's obvious.
Yeah.
You go to the IMF, for example, they will tell you, okay, you mismanage your economy for the last 2 years, you've come to us for a loan, blah, blah, blah. Before we give you the loan, because they're also trying to protect their own interests.
Of course.
In order for us to help you to be able to pay back, go back, cut worker salaries, don't invest in this.
Benefit them. Of
exactly.
Course, they're going to
don't do that.
You.
So sometimes I feel like genuinely some of the leaders, obviously some of them are not thinking about the country, but some of them genuinely have a clear mind as to what they want to do to help the country. But once you go to some of these organizations, they give you conditions before you get the money.
But they don't force you to sign.
They don't force you to sign, but you have no option.
I know sometimes they do, but you talk about option now. You have to come back and weigh your options.
Exactly, right? But then you went to the IMF because you have no other option. If you don't get the money, your economy is going to crash. So what do? You accept the conditions they give you. Cut worker salaries, don't invest in trains, don't do this. Then when they get the money, they use to service debts, and then the little that is left, they use to do some development projects so people can see, okay, they did something little, at least they're doing something. But the real issues to be solved, those conditions attached to the money you borrow don't allow you to use the money the way you want to use it. I think that is another reason.
There's always that I do agree with you. I do agree with you that
I disagree.
No, I do agree with him that there are certain demands where I disagree with you is that you came to lead. So any bad decision you take today, you should know the ripple effect, because the ripple effect is already written in the contract you're signing. So why are you leading the people? What was your reason to come and lead the people? To go and make wrong decisions? Then leave the country for it to get rotten.
Yeah, my disagreement stems from the fact that, I mean, let's go back to the national anthem thing. I don't think anybody held a gun to like Tinubu's head to change the national anthem. My point is, this a national priority right now?
It's not.
Not in
People are getting kidnapped for ransom, right?
No.
I mean, what you call it? Gas prices are skyrocketing, inflation, like unemployment.
Corruption.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. And you're talking about. See, that's my thing. We can go on and on about the IMF and whatnot, but that it's a fact. We all know it's like they don't have your best interest at heart, right?
Yeah.
I think one time even like Akufo said the same time. I mean, France will do what
needs
in
to
the best
best interest of France. I mean, every country will do what it's in their best interest. So that there is no bias or whatever there, right? It's up to you to get, like you're saying, your ish straight. Do not expect them to come and be like, oh, we're gonna do all these for you, like no strings attached. It's supposed to benefit you 100%, right?
No.
We're just the good guys. It doesn't work like that. But the point, we're just focusing on the misplaced priorities right now.
Yeah.
Your question
There's
is
a
what?
lot. Yeah, there's a lot of like bad and like retrogressive stuff going on. So why are you focused on stuff that is? You could have done this like by the end of the year, like take it through the proper protocols, bring in public opinion, right? Did the people want this?
Yeah.
It takes time.
I feel if since he has been in power, he has changed the landscape of Nigeria. Yeah, the youth can see there are more jobs popping up here and there. Like things are changing, and he comes up with this. People would not complain.
Whatever reason they gave about that being more patriotic, or sounding more patriotic, or feeling more patriotic than the current man, do you buy into it, or you think there's like it's just a smoke screen for something else?
I'm not Nigerian, so singing both versions, both songs, I don't know what feeling I'll have. But I just, basically, I just think that it's not something that would really make people patriotic.
No, I'm not talking in terms of, I'm talking about, I mean, your gut, your intuition, whatever I might call it. What do you think this act is actually about? Is it just to kind of, like I say, distract people from the problems that's going on? Or there is something more going on that they just do not want.
I would think it's a bit of both. Maybe there's some just to distract attention from real issues, or maybe there's some sort of influence, external influence. Because if you have real problems in your house and you forget about that and you're going to deal with somebody else's problems, what sense does it make? That's kind of the same connotation. You deal with the basics first. Make sure people are okay. If we can swiftly make such a change and ignore more important things, I can only think that maybe you're trying to distract attention, or you get some external force somewhere pushing you to do that.
What would you call a father, who has kids at home and a wife? They are starving. They need food, and then he comes out and says he's going to change the mesh on the windows. What would you say to that father? So that when people look, he's going to change his windows and make it glass, right? It's still window, right? What are you going to say to that father? You are dumb.
Is that a question?
No,
rhetorical.
It's a rhetorical question.
I get it. So this is what goes back to my question again. At the end of the day, there were two. There were two anthems, right? So one was written by an expat, a British expat, after the independence of Nigeria. So the question is, does it really matter how that makes you feel? If that sounds even more patriotic than the second one, right? The subsequent one,
right?
Does it really make sense to go back to that one? Because that's got like kind of like a bad vibe, bad connotation to it. Do you know what I mean? So how is that something you would even kind of like consider? It feels wrong. It feels like somebody who's kind of like I'm not gonna say that lady, but in particular, right, was part of the people who did the bad things or atrocities that kind of hurt the people of Nigeria during that time, right?
We are trying to do mental gymnastics here.
Yeah, but no. My point is that at the end of the day, you cannot say that a people, right, the British people that colonized your country, they wrote. I mean, not they. That's what I'm saying. I don't want to generalize like they wrote, but there was one lady that wrote, he or she.
Yeah.
And you want to take that as a national like treasure, right? And then rather like put the one that the local native wrote to the side. And even if we kind of like take away the colonization part, right? This is, let's say, I mean, we're not trying to be exclusive or whatnot, but he's an outsider, he or she, I'm not sure if it's a lady, she was an outsider, right? And of an insider, a native, an indigenous of the country writing another anthem. And you go back and be like, oh, this expat, this outsiders makes us feel more patriotic than what our people did or our people kind of like put together. So what does that really say? It goes back to saying the same thing. Everything the West or the outsiders do is what?
Appreciate it more.
It's appreciated. It's better than our own thing. I feel like it goes back to that same thing about pre-colonial, like, mental slavery. So at the end of the ball is in your court. You leave us your comment. Let's know what you think, especially if you're Nigerian. Let's get your thought in the comment section, because we're not Nigerian, so we're not really gonna feel or understand how you guys feel and understand the whole issue. So let us know what you think in the comment section. Again, DLS Wave out.
See you next time.